everybody. Welcome to Inspired Tribe. It's Shelley and Stephanie here with you today. We're so excited to dive into our topic about relationships with adult children and share some laughs, aha moments, and insights with all of you.
We had those first two episodes out, and then we had all these episodes, but they were really about holidays and specific things. We were getting going, and we've been recording podcast episodes, but then life happened. So guess what? We'll release those when those actual holidays come up. But we're back. We are ready to share, and we're ready to talk, and we're ready to cry and laugh. We've already been doing some of that this morning as we were just talking because we're all so bestie trying to help each other through life. One of the things that came up this morning is how we have both created codependent relationships with our kids. Is that something we want to talk?
Yeah, let's talk about it. It's a tough one, and I think it's one that a lot of people don't necessarily want to talk about. And I think a lot of the thing is that we don't want to take ownership in how we've created those relationships. We want to kind of blame everybody else. And it's hard.
We want to blame the kids.
Really and truly, when it comes down to it, we need to take a look at the mirror because we're the ones that have created these situations.
I agree. And it is tough because as a mama, you want to be there. You want to save them from making the mistakes you made. You want to give them the things that you didn't feel like you had, maybe, whether that was because of finances or emotional support or whatever was happening when we were kids. We want to be better than what we thought the time was happening to and for us.
And I know with mine, I'm always telling the girls, I don't want you to wait until you're in your 30s, or I don't want you to wait until you're in your 40s before you learn this. I want you to get this quicker.
Yeah.
And I'm really wondering if that's a great thing. Do they not need to go their own journey to create their own lessons and wisdom to really understand it? There are so many things that we've gone through personally that if somebody would have told us, it doesn't resonate and it doesn't mean anything. It really took us to go through those circumstances to get it ourselves.
I have also made that statement to my kids. I just want you to learn this, not take as long, not make the same mistakes, not have to experience the heartache. The older I get, one of the big reasons I wrote that book, trying to help women shorten the curve to getting to full self-awareness and authenticity, having the ability, capacity, knowledge, and wisdom. I guess we all have a different path to realization.
Yes.
And I don't think that means we have to stop trying to help our kids, but I do think it does make it a bigger responsibility to help. I think the best thing we can do, instead of trying to solve their problems for them, is to guide them through a process of how to solve the problem themselves, which makes more of an interdependent relationship than the codependent relationship that you and I have both found ourselves.
Right. You and I talked about it this morning. I've come to realize that I'm a fixer. My kids come to me, they expect me to fix it. And that is a solution for the short term, right? But it just creates even more dependency for them to constantly be coming to me to fix everything. Whereas if I did like you suggested and ask them more questions and get them to really take a look at their own problems and try to work on some of that problem solving, guiding them through that, that's a long-term. That's a long-term solution, giving them and helping them create independence, which is really the goal. That's somewhere that I've definitely failed because I've always hopped in and I just want to fix everything for them.
I think we go through cycles. There was a time a couple of years ago when we had these same kinds of conversations and you got pretty good at setting boundaries. And this, in many ways, comes back to boundary setting and understand the reasons for them. But I think it goes deeper than that because just setting a boundary doesn't necessarily help teach them how to help themselves.
Right.
But you were doing really good there. And I know I have the same thing. It's like you do really good for a while and then it works so good, you forget to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, let's face it, life, it's about pattern. And it's about, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, you get back into what those rituals were because that's what feels comfortable. And it's constant work to make sure that you are holding those boundaries. And I've definitely slipped.
Well, I think that's something important to talk about too, because you and I both are very invested in understanding patterns, and not only the patterns, but the rituals that go along with them. And I know I say in a couple of different places in the Badass Ages Guide, don't think this is a one and done. This is a lifelong journey. Different things trigger different behaviors. Even the ones that we have been working on, something else will come along that re-triggers, and we have to be ready to catch it.
Yeah.
Before it gets out of hand again. And with adult kids, we want to have adult relationships. We so often treat them
Like children.
and they let us.
They do.
Then they complain about it.
It's tough because just this week I had a situation with, I'm going to go ahead and name throw because she knows the situation, but Ariana, my daughter, she's doing a side business with AC Element, as you know, working branding, and she's really great at what she does. But most of the time I take control of what she's doing. And so she's relied on me. You guys had an expo with some business things, and this time I didn't help at all. I didn't help her put the booth together. I didn't help her with the presentations. I didn't help her with anything. I was saturated in other areas and I let her do it. I kept on telling her, you've got this. This is all you. This isn't me. This is something that I want you to take ownership of. It was hard because after this whole thing, she was working 7 days a week, staying up late, trying to prepare for everything. And she did it all. But at the end of the day, she was like, Mom, I just felt abandoned. And no, I mean, really, no, I mean, she did. She felt abandoned. I felt like I honestly abandoned her because I didn't,
You launched her.
I launched her, but at the same time, she's used to me doing everything. And then I just kept that string right there. And
That's what they need.
but I'm struggling with it because I want them to be independent and I know that they're capable. But at the same time, I don't want them to feel like I'm abandoning them or that I'm not invested in what they're doing. It's such a fine balance.
I actually had a conversation with Anna and I told her, look, you will build your wings on the way up. Just take action. Yeah, that is so incredibly interesting because she is probably the most supported emotionally. Your relationships with your children are incredibly strong. You have in the past, because we're going to talk, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm, you know me, I'm an open book. I'm
A control freak.
Yeah.
And I had to learn. And I'm in it again because Victoria has moved back home for a while. It's tough out there for these kids, financially, especially. But, we're having to go through the whole rules thing. And she's almost 23. And how does that work now? And, I'm like, okay, I'm still the queen. Alice still the king. We have the same rules. They haven't really changed. We can be a little more flexible. At the same time, you're not a guest here. You're part of the family. So step up. If you see something, do something. Creating that interdependent type of relationship is as hard for me as it is for her. I can hear Anna saying that she felt abandoned. We have also created a habit and pattern in them for the flip side of the coin.
You know me well enough to know that when my child tells me that they feel like I've abandoned them, oh my
Such
God,
a trigger word.
the enormous amount of guilt that goes into it and everything else. Creating that balance, though, is so tough. Yeah, as you know, we have I don't know whether you want to call them boomerang or what, but I have two of my adult children living back home with our two twins that are 13. And it's a challenge because number one, they're adults. I expect them to think of, just like you said with Tori, it's like, I know that I don't have special glasses. When I look around, I can just see all the things that have to be done. I know that that's not a gift that just I have. They come home and it's like they treat it like it's a hotel or like you said, your guests. And I'm just like, it takes a freaking team to make this household run. And, I'm at the point right now where I'm like, either you're on my team or you're not. And if you're not, then we're going to have a come to Jesus party. I just can't do it all. But then I look at that and I'm like, you know what, though? I've created a lot of that and I've enabled a lot of that because as I've gotten older, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still Spitfire and everything else. I can get wound up and everything. But as I've gotten older, a way that I deal with not wanting to deal with confrontation and everything, or God, it's like, I just don't want to fight about this, I withdraw. So instead of addressing a problem when it's right there, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go to my room. This is something I'm not wanting to deal with right now. I'm too exhausted. And then, it comes the weekend and the kids have just been floating, doing their thing, treating the house like a hotel. And then I wake up on a Saturday morning and I'm pissed. Oh God, I'm pissed. And it's like, I don't want to talk to them. And I'm just like, do the shit. You're 25 years old. You're 28 years old. I should not have to tell you to clean the bathroom. I should not have to tell you to bring your dirty clothes down. I shouldn't even be doing your laundry. Yeah, but it's like, they're doing that because I've allowed that.
That is correct. I was telling you a little earlier about the situation. So Alan was mopping in the kitchen and he knocked over the trash can and Tori was headed to work. But instead of stopping and picking the trash can up and putting it back in place, she literally stepped over it and kept going.
Oh, God.
Now, Alan is her stepdad.
But he's been in her life for a long
Since
time.
he was 10.
Yeah.
At the same time, I've had the conversation with him, with her moving back in. I'm like, Alan, I need you to play good cop. I'll be the backup because probably like a lot of couples, heterosexual or same-sex marriages with kids, one parent starts in and instead of the other parent coming alongside and trying to help
Support and reinforce.
they jump in with the same or higher energy intensity, which creates even more problems because then it becomes two bad cops.
It raises the cortisol levels and everything else. And all of a sudden you've got a big wild spin out. It's hard to get anything de-escalated.
He has been really good since she's moved back in about being the good cop. But he then turns around and tells me, you're not really. And I know she feels uncomfortable and awkward. She's been out of the house since she was 18.
Yeah.
And now she's moved back in with her parents. And so she has those weird feelings. And I told her, this is not a failure. This is a reset.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so when we do have those kids that boomerang, or before they actually get out of the house, just trying to prepare them for life.
Yeah. One thing I would like to bring up is it's really tough being a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough being a young adult. But right now, it's tough being us. It's tough being our age. There are so many times as adults that we'll sit there and everything's okay. You're one of my very best friends. And today I sat in front of you and cried like a baby, told you for the first time, I think, the things that I'm struggling, because there's so much shame and everything else as adult that we don't want to admit that we're struggling and having a hard time. I think we put that even on our children. We want to make them better. We don't want them to have to go through the things that we're secretly going through right now, because when they look at us, they're like, they've got it all together.
By not being vulnerable and transparent, so many young people today, when they do leave the nest, they have this expectation that they're going to have everything that took us 20, 30, 40 years to get to. And that's why they get into credit card debt so fast, because they're trying to live the lifestyle that it took us a long time to build, and they want it now.
But what they're not seeing, and I think I've told you this before, Greg still has a copy of a paycheck that after everything came out of it was 86 cents. The kids didn't live through those.
No,
They didn't live through periods where we were at the grocery store with a calculator trying to make sure that we spent only what we had. I'm glad that my kids didn't have to see that. But at the same time, their expectations of themselves are completely unreasonable because they're expecting to be able to do and have and be what we are today without going through all of those trials and tribulations that we had to go through.
Absolutely. And I absolutely agree with that. 1000%. Now, not all of that is bad necessarily. If they did learn from some of the things that we went through, it's hard because we want them to learn from our experiences and mistakes, but the lessons don't really take unless you have them yourself. So I guess it's about learning how to soften the blow
instead of preventing it altogether.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And yeah, man, I mean, you're right. Because they really have to go through some things for it to be heartfelt and understand. You and I both know you don't actually change a behavior until you are affected emotionally, because you can mentally bang at me all day long. I know what's right. I know this. I know a lot of shit. But until I emotionally get something, until it weighs on me, until it affects me that way, it's not a lesson I'm ready to learn yet.
Funny, John Maxwell says there's three times when people change: when they have enough pain, when they have enough desire, and then, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, I'm probably messing this up, and then when they're ready, and when the teacher appears. So at least two of those things have to be in place for us to learn, to be ready to change. I never really have problems with change, but most of the people in my life do.
Yeah, I've said forever, change is the only constant. That's the one thing I can depend on.
I look forward to it.
Yeah,
I just do. I think because I like unexpected. I'm spontaneous. I look at change as an opportunity. I don't want to stay stagnant. I don't want to go backwards. Sometimes I do. There are seasons when we have growth, and then we have plateau, and then sometimes we slip back a little bit. But at the end of the day, what we're really talking about is our changing, and that allows other people to change. Okay, we need to wrap this up, but big topic again.
Do you know what I do know, though? Every time we have these conversations, we care so much about everybody. No matter what, our intentions are always good and we always want the best. We're just still trying to figure that out. And I know that a lot of you guys are probably doing the same thing. And that's why we really want to take these moments to be vulnerable and real with you guys. We're going through this crazy thing of life all together. We're trying to create this community where we can depend on each other. We can reach out to each other because everybody knows it's tough. Everybody needs sometimes a hand or a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to have our girlfriends. Girlfriends are incredibly important. So don't forget, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, which is where our podcasts live. We have some great plans coming up on retreats.
And if you haven't seen yet, we still have a few spots available for our solid day retreat here in Lafayette at Matchbox. Go to our website or Facebook page to see more about that. We have some great presenters and facilitators. If you guys want to join us, do it.
April 26th. And we'll also be having one in June and one in September. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram because every day we're putting content that's about inspiring you to live your best life. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.